Blanton's has become one of the most asked for bottles of whiskey in the world. It's so common for people to go into a liquor store and ask for Blanton's that some stores have made a joke about it by putting behind the counter on the wall a ticker for the number of people who have come in and asked for Blanton's that day. But Blanton's does have a cousin named Rock Hill Farms, and they're effectively the same whiskey with only minor differences in proof and age. Which one comes out on top in a blind? If you want to find out, then stick around. Before we get started drinking this delicious whiskey, we have to thank our patrons out there. We would not be able to keep doing this podcast without the financial support of our patron members. We do have a Patreon, and everybody's names that are up on the screen right now are donating at our top 3 levels, and we cannot say thank you enough. And if you want to hear more about joining our Patreon, you can stick around till the end. All right, now let's talk about a little bit of history associated with these brands. So, what do you know about Blanton's?
It has a pretty horse.
Yes, that is a fair assessment.
And a pretty bottle.
And that's part of the reason why I think it got so popular is that the bottle almost looks like a Fabergé egg.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
And then it's got the pewter topper on there. But a little bit of history on this one. The namesake is Colonel Albert Blanton, and he is Colonel in the way that Kentucky Fried Chicken's Colonel Sanders is a colonel. The Kentucky government will sometimes convey colonel status on prominent members of society. He did not get his colonel title, I don't believe, from his military service. He was in the military, though.
Okay.
And he became the president of what is now known as the Buffalo Trace Distillery in 1921, I believe. And the reason why he's such a revered figure is because he led the distillery through World War I, through Prohibition. He actually applied for a medicinal license so that they continued to sell alcohol to those that have prescriptions. And then he presided over the distillery through World War II, where there were, major disruptions again, as well as some, major catastrophes that happened at the distillery throughout his tenure. And so he's credited with keeping the distillery open, which is now one of the most iconic distilleries in the United States. In 1949, he had a young man come into his office, and that young man was Elmer T. Lee. And Elmer T. Lee said, "Hey, can I get a job?" And Colonel Albert said, "No, we don't have any openings today." But Elmer was persistent, and eventually he did get hired on, and he worked at the distillery all the way up to becoming the master distiller for what is now Buffalo Trace. And he was the master distiller during the Bourbon Dark Ages in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. During part of that time, he was trying to figure out a path forward. And throughout that time, a lot of the distilleries were kind of getting into pricing wars and trying to attract customers by lowering their price further and further and further and operating on smaller and smaller profit margins. And then Elmer T. Lee had this bright idea. What if we went the other direction? What if we made a super premium bourbon and created a premium category that we could sell for more money? And that's how Blanton's was born. And he decided to name the bottle after the iconic leader of the distillery. And that's how it got its name. And Blanton's was originally released in 1984. But they kind of got on this kick for a little bit where they were making single barrels, because Blanton's was the first single barrel to be released as an ultra premium whiskey on a mass scale. And so later they ended up releasing the Rock Hill Farms.
Which is another pretty bottle.
Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the history of that one? Because I don't know anything about it either.
I actually didn't know a lot about it either. And there's not a lot out there on the internet. But if you go out and look, It looks like because of the success with the single barrels, they decided to release something that was a slightly higher proof.
Okay.
Because up until the Rock Hill Farms, the highest proof that you could get in the mash bill that these two whiskeys are made out of was the 93 proof in the United States. And so they released Rock Hill Farms at a slightly higher proof in 1990. And the namesake for this was actually the farm that Albert Blanton lived on.
Okay.
And it's along the Kentucky River, and it's supposed to be this famous farm that's got this, lush land and all of this. And so it was another kind of homage to Albert Blanton. And I am quite glad they released it because it is one of my favorites. But I've never actually compared them side by side. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about the bottles before we actually start drinking?
Okay, so we'll start with the Blanton's single barrel. Mm-hmm. That one is non-age stated, but publicly disclosed as 6 years. So the proof is 93. SRP is $64.99, and the secondary price is about $150.
So what are the details of the Blanton's Gold bottle over here?
That one is also non-age stated, but publicly disclosed at 6 years. Although there's a Japanese market version called Takara that is 8 years old. Mm-hmm. The proof is 10 points higher at 103. The SRP is $119.99, and the secondary price is around $250. Mm-hmm. That seems like a lot. Size is 750 ml. But sometimes it can come at 700 mLs, depending on if they use the bottle originally designed for the U.S. Versus the European market. So. Okay.
And what are the details on the Rock Hill Farms?
Also not age stated, but publicly disclosed as 8 years. So likely a couple of years older on average compared to the U.S. versions of Blanton's. The proof is 100 proof because it's a bottled and bond whiskey. SRP is $59.99. Secondary is around $300. And the size is 750 ml.
All right. Well, what do you say we taste these blinds? So Wes is behind the camera. And Whoop. If you want to see a Wes showing, stick around because he's going to come out whenever we do the reveal. But he poured these blinds for us. And so what do you say we nose them and taste them up? Welcome back to Pretentious Whiskey Reviews. Today, we're evaluating the 1982 Pappy Van Winkle. Ooh. I'm detecting a hint of Bolivian virgin tears and East Indian, no, West Indian grasses.
Y'all, you don't need all that crap. All you need is an American whiskey aroma kit from bourbonrealtalk.com. Developing your palate is a learned skill. Over time, you can train your taste buds without being a douchebag. Get yours today at bourbonrealtalk.com.
I'm also getting Indian nutmeg. I find this interesting because you've got 93 proof, 100 proof, and 103 proof. All the same whiskey, all the same aging. Everything is pretty similar, and I've never compared these side by side. And I'm thinking that maybe the gold being included in the tasting, I think I would have been able to tell the difference between 93 and 100, but I don't know that I'll be able to tell the difference between 100 and 103. And so I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So, nose it up.
Okay, my friends.
All right. Yeah. What have we got?
What do y'all think about that? I mean, I know you mentioned that it was going to be a little challenging because you'd not had this particular blind before, and I don't think I had ever had it either. But I can see how difficult it could be with like the similar proofs and the exact same mash bill. So, are you going to attempt to guess on these, or are you just ranking?
I am highly confident that the one on my far right, their far left, is the Blanton single barrel.
Okay.
I couldn't venture a guess which one of these was Rock Hill Farms and which one was gold.
Okay.
But I have my rank.
Okay, let's get our ranks out of the way then.
So this one on your far left, pretty girl, their far right, this glass right here. What place? First, second, or third place?
Third.
That was third place for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
First place for me.
All right.
All right.
Interesting. Okay.
The middle glass.
Last place for you. First place for you.
First, second, or third place for you?
Second.
My second as well.
Okay.
And
that means the third option was her favorite of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? And it was your least favorite.
Exactly the opposite.
Okay.
And if I had to guess, I would guess that I picked them in proof order, and this is the gold. And she picked them in reverse proof order, and that is the Blanton.
Which I thought for sure that, like, okay, the one I'm going to like is going to be the highest proof because I just like high proof spirits.
And if I had to guess, I would guess that you both are married because you're exactly That's awesome. Well, let's get the truth out there and see exactly where you rank these particular bottles.
Okay.
Okay. I think you'll be surprised to know that your least favorite and your favorite was the Blanton single barrel.
No way!
It was.
No way!
Absolutely.
I am shocked out of my mind.
I am too, to be honest with you, because I mean, if I would think if anything's going to stand out, it would be the
Be the higher proof, yeah. Huh.
But so that is the first option.
Wow.
Your least favorite, your favorite. Moving on to option 2. Okay. Both of you agreed here, second place, which is a good sign because it is the Blanton's Gold.
Okay.
Okay. So the Blanton's Gold is second, leaving our third place finisher for you and our first place finisher for you as the Rock Hill Farm.
Wow.
Man, I am shocked out of my mind.
That's pretty cool.
That
was a great blind.
Yeah.
I think that was a great comparison. So.
All right. So now that we know what was in the glass, let's discuss. Right.
Okay.
Is the Blanton's Gold worth double the Rock Hill Farms? No, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they are so similar, and I wouldn't pay double, but because of the secondary prices, right?
And it's just recent that the Rock Hill Farm had gotten kind of busy on the secondary market.
Yeah.
Blanton's Gold has probably been there for quite a while.
Well, yeah, because you could only get them overseas.
Yeah.
And now that they're offered in the United States, I think that's probably what's kept the price from going up as high as the Rock Hill Farms because there's now two sources.
Yeah.
But at $300 on the secondary, that's a pass for me.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, when I've run out of Blanton's Gold, I've been willing to pay the secondary price to get another bottle in because it's a great one to have around and it's good whiskey and it's one of those whiskeys that I think it might actually be worth the $225 or $250 that gets charged for it. Yep. But I cannot believe that the single barrel won.
Well, that just goes to show you folks, these blinds are absolutely worth it, especially comparing similar mash bills to each other. So, great job, guys.
Thanks,
All right. All right, pretty girl.
Yeah.
Let's give away some whiskey. What should we give away?
We should do 3 1-ounce samples.
3 winners?
I think so.
Of this epic whiskey?
You got plenty of whiskey.
All right, fine.
Yeah. So let's do the Blanton Single Barrel, the Blanton's Gold, and the Rock Hill Farms. I think it's only fair.
You'll be able to recreate this experience for yourself at home. And obviously we got opposite results, so it'll be interesting for you to figure out. So to enter to win this free giveaway, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified of future giveaways and future content. We do a giveaway on every episode. And of course, you have to go to the video description below and fill out the web form. That gives us your basic contact information, which we will run a randomizer, post it publicly, reach out to you, get your address, and ship you your samples absolutely for free. Pretty girl, tell them how they can support the channel.
Well, we do have a Patreon. Patreon.
Yeah.
As you mentioned at the beginning.
You're a patron when you signed up on Patreon. I think that's
I'm
how
never
it goes.
going to get that right. We have awesome member benefits, bonus content, distillery takeovers. I think that's my favorite part.
Oh, yeah.
I've only been to a few, but they look like a lot of fun.
We have a big one coming up in July.
Yeah.
We're going to
Frey
Nevada. We're going to pick at Frey Ranch, but we're staying at a casino resort together.
Super excited.
We're going to have a whole extravaganza the whole weekend. It's going to be great. So we do a lot of that type of stuff.
Discounts on merch.
Of course. And then monthly virtual bottle shares where we get together online. Bonus content, behind the scenes, early access, things like that. So, and we've got a pretty diverse price ranges.
Yeah.
And so far, even if you're at the lowest tier, you have always been able to buy however many bottles of our single barrels you wanted.
That's true.
And so lots of member benefits out there. But of course, you helped build a merchandise business.
Yeah, I worked really hard on that. Tried to have a little bit of everything. I'm kicking things. Sorry about that. Tried to have a little bit of everything. T-shirts, hats, glasses that we designed, by the way, which I think is very special. We have the only American whiskey aroma kit, I think, that's out there. Everyone else wants to include Scotch and grain flavors, and we focus on the flavors in the whiskey, which I think is important.
There have been a couple that have come on the market since we originally conceived of the idea.
Well,
but I still think ours is best. Ours does come in a wooden box, so
that's true.
The others had been cardboard, and then I think one of them added a box. I don't know. It's fine. But our scents were curated through the whiskey enthusiast community, and so we feel like we have the best representation out there. So you can check out
whiskey people by whiskey people.
Yep. And you can also support the channel by considering me to be your real estate agent in the Dallas or Houston metro areas. My real estate business has subsidized this channel since its inception. So if you hire me, just know that I do give away epic closing gift bottles. So
that's true.
I've given away everything that you can think of, Pappy Van Winkles and BTACs and all kinds of great things. So just keep that in mind. And if this is your first time tuning in, we'd like to tell you a little bit about our show philosophy. We're all about bringing people together around spirits. And that's because we lost my younger brother to suicide in 2014. And Lindsay and I struggled to find a way to kind of give back and maybe help others avoid that same fate. And eventually it led to me realizing that whiskey brings people together and creates the kinds of connections that my brother had been losing in his life leading up to his decision. And we thought, maybe if we can get you connected to whiskey, the whiskey will do the rest of the job and get you connected to others so that you don't have to feel like you don't have that support around you. And so we did that. We also started Bourbon Real Talk community, so there's a forum for you to connect. And we knew we needed our own forum. Wes pointed that out to me. Simply because a lot of the forums out there are filled with trolls and negativity and people showing hate online. And we created a space that doesn't have any of that, but those trolls also taught us that if they can hate strangers online, there's nothing that keeps us from loving strangers online. And that's why we end every episode the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm testing my new whiskey glass that I had designed.
Why?
Well, there's a company out there that's a real Karen, and she threatened to sue us.
Really? You don't say.
Yeah, so we had been producing some traditional tulip-shaped whiskey glasses.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
We never used the name.
Right, of course.
But they claimed to own the shape of the glass. Mm-hmm. And since I'm just a little guy, I couldn't fight.
Right.
But do you know what that motivated us to do, Wes?
What?
To go out and design a glass that was actually made for high-proof American spirits. So the company that had the problem with us, their glass was originally designed for low-proof Scotch whiskey.
Oh, okay.
80, 86 proof, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And you know what I had noticed? Every time I would nose a really high-proof, high-quality spirit in the United States out of this glass, all I got was ethanol burn.
Yeah, a little burn there. I felt that.
And so we went out and we designed this glass that's actually designed for those higher-proof spirits. And I'm so confident in this glass that if anybody were to go to our website and buy one, I'm offering a money-back guarantee.
Wow.
If you get that glass to your house and you find yourself one of these traditional tulip-shaped glasses and you nose a high-proof spirit side by side and you can't tell the difference, I will gladly give you your money back.
So what you're saying is they can really stick it to the Karen and support the little guy by going to bourbonrealtalk.com and ordering one of these with absolutely no risk. They could get their money back if they don't prefer it nosing it to the other?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you love small business and you like sticking it to Karens, that's the way to go.
Stick it to Karen. bourbonrealtalk.com.
Cheers.